and welcome to Truly Unplugged, the podcast that helps your business get tech fit. Well, today I am delighted to say we have one of our biggest customers in the studio with us today, Ben Knapp from Nuvo. I think I pronounced that correctly.
You did, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries at all. Firstly, welcome to the office.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Really great.
Really appreciate that. It's been a busy day for you there, hasn't it?
It has. I've seen more of your team today than I care to count. It's been a good day so far.
Yes, you had, I think, Amy, Dan and Tim came over to your office for a bit of a strategy session.
Yeah, that's right. So Tim, we've worked with Tim for a long time now. Obviously, Tim's become the CEO recently. I've seen as well at Truly, which is fantastic for him. And then Amy's our customer success, and then Dan's been helping us with some of the sort of acquisition projects as well. So at Nuvo, we've grown quite significantly by acquisition, which means that we've kept your team really busy, taking them into the new businesses that we get, and trying to, I suppose, improve the systems that we've inherited.
That's brilliant. Well, it makes total sense to do a podcast like after you've had a session like that in the day, because you know, it's easy to say you work with us, but actually when we've actually done a bit of work with you in the morning, it's kind of fresh in your mind, the relationship, which we're going to be discussing a bit about.
Yeah, definitely got my tech brain on today.
How does that work then? Tell me, because I know for us it's really about trust, connections. Describe to me firstly a little bit about your business. So it's an accountancy firm. I think you were saying to me before this, 230 staff you've got now. Relationships really important for your business, right?
Absolutely, 100%. So, I mean, in the industry as a whole, we believe that accountancy is built on relationships more than anything else. You need to trust the person that you're entrusting with your business finances and your business growth and your objectives. So we're really, really big on remaining personal and keeping those human connections, which obviously can become more difficult in a digital world. So our relationships with our suppliers is equally important to us. We've always had a brilliant relationship with Truly since we started working with them back in, I think it was about 2015. And it's been great for us because as we've grown quite significantly, Truly's grown significantly with us as well. So that's been a fantastic relationship for us. That's
amazing. So 2015. So we're coming up to 10 years of working with you, and obviously working with True MSP before then. So tell me a bit about yourself then, because if you don't mind me saying, you're quite a young chap. I think you're young. You look younger than me, I think.
I appreciate it. I do get that. I do get that quite a lot. That I am
managing director as well.
Yes, I can't take all the credit. I'm self-aware enough to accept that I was very much in the right place at the right time as well. But I kind of joined Nuvo, which was then ADS Accountancy, in 2013. So pretty much straight after my A-levels, I started working on work experience, funnily enough, and then basically never left. Was working underneath Steve, the co-founder. And I think that being in a business that's growing that rapidly, the opportunity is just amazing. So I grew with the business, and it's been such a fun journey for me. Managing director now, and it's a big job, but an incredibly fun job.
Yes. I mean, accountancy, you often think, you need to do all these massive qualifications, all kinds of, certain certificates you need to get. So tell me about your career path then. So you finished your A-levels. Did you go down that route, or were you pretty much did you learn on the job, if that makes sense?
Yes, it's a good question, because I was initially, the story I've told many, many times is I always wanted to be a vet. I loved animals. I was like 100% I'm going to be a vet since I was 4 years old, I think it was. And then when I was 15, I did some work experience at a veterinary practice and absolutely hated it. Really, really didn't enjoy it. So I kind of went
What did you hate about it?
So there was, I don't want to get too graphic. There were the two bits. The first thing was I've never been squeamish in my life, but when you walk into open surgery, there's a really quite a common phenomenon where you instantly just feel like you're going to pass out. Because I think it's because of the smell or something. But it's hated that for starters. I've never felt that way in my life, so I didn't like that. And then the other bit was, again, I don't want to be too graphic, but there's a dog that had a piece of debris in its eyeball, and so I was watching the veterinary surgeon kind of poke around in this dog's eyeball for like an hour.
That's enough to put you off.
And then all of a sudden, she just went, oh, and I was like, what's happened? She said, oh, I've popped it. And she'd popped the eyeball. So I was like, well, I don't think this is for me. So I went home and I said to my mum, like, I don't think I want to be a vet. I don't know what I'm going to do now, because that's all I've wanted to do.
Yeah. Wow.
And she said, well, you've always quite enjoyed maths and business. And my dad, he was a consultant, so he had his own business. And I suppose I'd always had that inclination to get involved in that a little bit. And so my mum said, why don't you go and do some work experience at an accountancy practice and see if that's for you. And conveniently, because my dad had his business, he had an accountant. So I spoke to Steve, went and did some work experience, and that was that. But yeah, I started as a trainee accountant, did my ACCA qualification, kind of got through that as fast as I could, because I didn't like coming home from work and then studying. I hated that. So got through it as fast as I could. And then once I was qualified, it was kind of progressing through the typical accountancy route, really, I suppose, into a senior and then associate partner. And then at that point, the business growth really, really took off. And the door opened for me to come into more of a board position.
Really shows the value of work experience, really, when you're younger, doesn't it? Because obviously having those experiences early on really help decide this is the path I want to go on. And it's tough when you're younger, isn't it? Because there's so many options. Your parents are giving you suggestions. Perhaps you've got friends, family in other industries, etc. And then school are trying to kind of coax you in the subjects you're good at school. Do you think work experience is really key for you then when you were
100%. And I think the other part to it as well is I'm a big advocate of apprenticeships and learning on the job. I think it's so valuable. A lot of people sort of not necessarily just in my school, but in my age range, I think were kind of pushed to university when it might not have been the right choice for them had they stepped back and considered the other options. So really, really keen on apprenticeships. I think they're a great way for people to grow and learn, because you learn so much just being in an office environment. In my view, I know that I did, not just about accountancy, but interacting with other people and those social skills I think are so important, and you really pick those up.
Do you think you would have achieved what you've achieved, at 30 years old already, if you had gone down the university route? Probably hard to know.
Hard to say. I think that I've always been ambitious. I've always been driven and committed. But like I said, a huge reason I am where I am is because of the position that I found myself in a growing business. So look, if I joined an accounting practice that wasn't, it didn't have the leaders that AS does, then I don't think I would be where I am at all. Not to do myself too much of a disservice, but I think that makes a huge part of it. If you can tell when you're in the right environment for you, I believe, when you're in a job. And I think nowadays people are more keen to find a business that fits them rather than just a job title that fits them.
Yes, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I suppose we do live in a time where, particularly for younger people, jumping between jobs, different businesses, even within the same sector, is quite common. You're kind of an example of the opportunity of staying in one place and reaping the rewards from that, getting to know people really well, forming relationships. You can do that in a short space of time, but does it feel like a home to you? I mean, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really known anything else. So to me, it just feels, I can't imagine not working with the people that I work with at the business I work at. So yeah, for me, Nuvo and that's just my life, really. I think it's absolutely love the place.
Tell us a bit then about your career path, because obviously we talked a little bit about that work experience journey. You don't mind me saying, 30 years old. I mean, incredibly impressive to be interviewing someone who's 30, managing a business over 230 staff. Some people to listen to this and say, that's a tough job, at the age of 30.
It's undeniably a tough job. You're always going to get that bit of imposter syndrome. I mean, it's hugely important. I highlight I do not do it by myself. I've got amazing people around me. So operations director, commercial director, finance, that all brilliant people. And of course, I've still got that mentor in Steve, the co-founder, who's taught me so much. But you are always learning on the fly to a degree, and there's always going to be those moments where you notice, you kind of do take a step back and think, how am I in this position? Do I feel equipped for it? But I've always been quite a confident person, and I'm happy to rise to any challenge. So yeah, I'm proud of what I've achieved, but I am humble enough to recognise it's definitely not all me. I just take a lot of the credit.
What do you like about being a managing director?
Whew. I think I suit the job quite well because I find myself, I can speak to people quite well. I think what I tend to do and what I always aim to do is lead with personality and lead with empathy. So I'm well aware of the way I have to interact with some people is going to be different than the way I have to interact with others. And I think that can be a skill that some people kind of lack. They think, I used this example on another podcast that I did, but I really don't like the idea of a management style. I don't think as the manager, you are the responsible person in that relationship. I think it's your job to flex your style to the needs of the person that you're managing. I don't like the idea of a rigid management style. So I've always moved away from that, and I think that's really suited me well at Nuvo because I think that allows me to get the best out of other people around me. So I love working with people, and in a role like mine, all I do all day is work with people.
Yeah, so it's being able to adapt, and I suppose self-awareness is a skill as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think just empathy. I think recognizing that, you know, to me, this business is a huge deal, and it's a really, really important part of my life and my career. But there are also going to be people in a business who their job is less important to them, and their family life is way, way more important. And they're here, I don't want to say they're here for the paycheck, I don't think that's the right attitude, but they know what is expected of them, but they are here to ensure that they can go and enjoy the family life. And that's why at Nuvo we do try and give so much back to people's families.
I know you're very passionate about providing career routes for people within the business. So particularly for younger members of staff, I think you were saying actually the age demographic in your company is it's actually quite a young company across the board, a lot of age diversity, right? So is it important for you then to, particularly perhaps for younger members of staff, you know, show them, provide them that route, that goal for wherever they want to be in the business? Do you want to retain talent? Is that important to you?
Definitely. I think we want to nurture talent as much as we can. So we've got people who have joined the business in one role and then completely flipped and changed to something entirely different. So we've got some great examples of that. People who, I think the one of the more recent ones is a payroller. Someone joined our business to process payrolls for clients, and they've ended up becoming sort of a data analyst kind of role just because they showed a real aptitude for it and a real hunger to get into that. So if you want to do that we'll find a way to do that. And that is what the growth at Nuvo has enabled, is those people to kind of switch to a new path, which has been amazing. And in terms of the age demographics, we have quite a young board. And I meant to double check this before because I don't want to annoy him, but I believe the oldest member of our board is 45. So for a business of our size, it's a pretty young board. And myself at 30, so we all fit between that age range, which is really quite impressive for a business of our size. And then throughout the business, we do have young people joining us, and it's very much a point of, if you join us and show the right ambition and the right hunger, then we will try our best to find a role to suit you, rather than try and pigeonhole into something that might not get the best out of you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because when you think of accountancy, you do often think of kind of older demographic, right? You know, that's the traditional view of accountancy. Is the industry still like that? And if it is in some areas, perhaps it's geographically as well, are there challenges with having a younger team in an industry that perhaps is slower to progress when it comes to age diversity than others? Definitely.
I think the industry is rapidly changing. So you do kind of still have the traditional white-haired accountancy practices who will focus more on believe more in the idea that experience only comes from age. And so those practices still exist, but I would say that they are starting to dwindle now. I think a lot of those are being kind of either sold or bought out by more junior members of the team there, which has been really good, because I think that the technology revolution in accountancy has driven that change. But yeah, I think there are always going to be challenges when you've got particularly if you've got a youthful appearance as well, and there's always going to be that initial eyebrow raise when you step into a room and you're meant to lead that meeting, lead that conversation as someone who's perceived to be, should we say, inexperienced. But I think as we've discussed before, my really firm belief is that experience doesn't only come from age at all. I will have people in a room that are 20 years my senior, but I know that I'm more experienced than them because of the roles that I've held and the things that I've had to take on in my career so far. So experience doesn't only come from age at all. If you do the same role your entire life, you're experiencing that one thing, but I don't think you've got a varied experience at all, whereas someone who has jumped around, even if they're younger than you, may have much more experience.
How do you deal with those situations if that does occur when you may be speaking to a client and it does feel a little bit like sort of being patronised, or because it probably isn't just yourself, as if you say you've got other younger members of the team. Is it a simple case of just don't work with that business? It
can be. It depends on the attitude of the person, I suppose. But it's been very, very rare I've had any situations where I've been made to feel patronised or anything like that. But like I said, there are going to be those initial kind of sceptical people. I think really once you converse with the person, as long as you can tell that they're knowledgeable and you can tell that they know what they're talking about. I've always been better at conversing with people than demonstrate through knowledge. I think that I was a good accountant, not a great accountant by any means. So I think for me, it's always been developing that personal relationship to get the trust. And I'm more than happy to say I don't know the answer, but there is 100% someone at Nuvo who does know the answer, and I will go and speak to that person straight away for you.
Yeah, my dad was an accountant. Definitely wasn't for me. I remember business studies at A-level, just having to do Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Dad, can you give me a hand, please? It was, a lot of numbers. Not my speciality. Much more of a talker, I think. Tell me a bit then about accountancy. How is that industry changing? Because AI technology, everything's running at a million miles an hour at the moment. Accountancy, quite a traditional industry, you could say, in the UK, brings in a hell of a lot of money. What skills do you need to have to firstly provide the service that you do as a company, and how are you adapting to a world that just seems to turn on the news every day as something new kicking off, and there's all kinds of new inventions, etc., within the technology space that potentially could be a challenge to your business as well, right?
100%. Yeah, I think every business owner at the minute is probably looking over their shoulder a little bit, at what's happening technologically and how is that going to threaten either my business or my industry. Accountancy is in an interesting place at the moment. I think it's always been one of those industries which has been earmarked for almost annihilation at some point. It's not going to exist. And even when I joined the sector in 2013, accountancy always was in the top 10 of professions that's likely to disappear within the next decade. And it's not happened yet. And the cloud accounting experience, so when we shifted from traditional accounting software through to cloud accounting like Xero and QuickBooks, some of the household names. Again, that was another point at which people said this industry is likely to be decimated. But again, it's not happened. And with AI now emerging into the industry, again, we're being told, your industry is under significant threat. But I really don't buy into that at all. I think that because of the reasons that we've touched on already around human interaction and personality, people will still want a trusted advisor. And as long as you can be that trusted advisor, then you're going to have a place. You're going to have a place in business.
So your business at the moment, you're headquartered in the Midlands, I think,
yes,
aren't you?
Yeah.
I think I was speaking to the team earlier, something like 7 or 8 acquisitions that have taken place sometime over the last 2 or 3 years. Is that correct?
Oh, no, yeah. So that'll be this year. I believe 31 acquisitions we've done to date. So they first started 2015 was the first kind of biggish one. But yeah, we're sort of centred in the Midlands. We've got offices across the UK. We've got offices up in Aberdeen as well. So we're kind of spreading out across the UK, but kind of the heart of the business is still remaining in the Midlands.
So these acquisitions then, are they other accountancy firms that you're acquiring, and what kind of sizes are they? Because I've worked in businesses before, right? When an acquisition happens, it can be quite a lot for the staff who are currently employed. Obviously, new team members, new equipment, new needs. You must have quite a well-oiled machine running at the moment to make this happen while everything else works seamlessly. But is this a strategy that you kind of developed in the last year that's going to help your business grow, stay modern, or is this just has this come about just as business comes about day to day?
I think there's a few kind of elements to it. The first with the acquisitions, we have an acquisitions team that handle that integration piece. So we've got the co-founder Steve who does the initial deal with the selling party, and then the acquisition teams come. The acquisition team, comes in, and they explain exactly what's going to happen for the team members that are joining the business. Obviously, from their perspective, they've gone from potentially working at a smaller, more traditional accounting practice, now coming to a larger practice with a more modern outlook. But that still can be quite daunting. So we try and make sure that we're as reassuring as we can be through that process. We have our operations director, Chelsea, who's just brilliant with people and goes in and really helps give that reassurance. And then the acquisitions team as well support all the transitions through to the new systems. I think that one of the big benefits, I suppose, for the people that join Nuvo is, of course, we're a 4-day working week employer.
Oh, wow.
So all of our team members are on a 4-day working week, which means that it can be daunting being brought up, but hey, you get an extra day off every week, which is nice.
Is that the Friday, or is it?
It can be any day. So we kind of allow people to pick which day works, assuming that works with their team. Then we allow people to pick that. The only thing that is different is certain offices elect to close on a particular day where that works. But that's been a huge success for the business, and it does really help just add a little sweetener to the situation. But in terms of people then coming into that business, what we have done is we've typically taken more traditional practices, and we try to implement our systems, which are generally more efficient, and we have great partnerships with the cloud accounting partners as well, so we can help train them up on those new softwares. And really what the ambition there is to save them time doing some of the more mundane tasks, so they can spend more time engaging with the clients and speaking and helping those.
That's really interesting. So so you're around 230 staff at the moment. How many clients roughly?
Oof. What a big question. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
Just jumping around.
I'd say somewhere between 10 and 15,000, I'd imagine.
Okay.
If you include individuals, depends what you class as a client.
So a hell of a lot of data then.
Yes.
Lots of IT then that you need to help support what you're doing with those clients. So you've been working with Truly, as you say, there for about 10 years, give or take now. Really interesting. So for you then, when it comes to IT support, it's really important for you to have a trusted partner, much like someone using your accountancy firm needs someone looking after their numbers, needs to be able to trust them. Tell us about how the relationship has developed working with us.
So I think really what initially started as was probably quite a narrow focus. At that point, we would have been mostly server-based as a business, really, I think, and would have had 3 sites, I think, at that point as well. So each operating from their own server. So it was really we need some tech support. We need a bit of a help desk that can help us solve problems.
Was that a case of just kind of knowing someone from True MSP? So again, human relationships, kind of met someone in a pub type thing.
I believe so. So it would have been Steve who initially engaged Truly. I think Steve knew Tim or was introduced to Tim.
Okay.
And then it just kind of kicked off from there. But what has developed beautifully with Truly is that the array of services have just fit so nicely into what we're trying to do as well. So it's gone so far beyond just being that kind of that help desk type model. We basically all of our licenses kind of run through you guys now as well, and you advise us on everything from data security to cloud optimization. And then, like I said, on the acquisitions, huge projects for you guys to go in and help us take all these old rickety servers and convert those into a virtual environment and that kind of thing. So it's just been really great that the services that Truly have started to offer over the years have been so complementary to what we're trying to achieve as well.
So a lot of hardware stuff over the years, but looking more now at some of the cloud services and then I think more recently AI as well. So Copilot is something you're looking at too. When you look at then your business, perhaps compared to other accountancy firms, do you feel like it's important to be able to market yourself as a technology savvy accountancy firm? Because I know we were talking a little bit before. Yes, AI is great to say our business is using this. You have a slightly different view on AI, though, don't you? Particularly around when it comes to accuracy. Just tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my view of AI generally is really positive, and Nuvo is really proud to be quite a tech-driven business. So we will always do as much as we can and adopt as much technology as we can to make sure that our clients are getting the best service and our team are delivering on valuable work and not spending time on things that are going to just eat into their time too much. So we're really proud to have that outlook in the industry. But I am my view of AI has changed quite a lot over the last year, I would say, and it's more so I think that there's been a bit of AI fatigue that I've felt from internally and then across the industry as well, that we're constantly hearing about AI, and I think what we went through is this journey where initially chatbots were kind of released and made available to the public, which actually wasn't that long ago when you think about it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and everyone was absolutely blown away. And then the next thing, we got a little bit bored of that to a degree. And then the next thing was, now they can do image generation, and now they can do video generation. And I think in the consumer market, you'll always have that, wow, okay, what's next? And you'll always have that. Whereas in business, you are seeing more of the true AI development happening, which is what I'm finding really, really interesting, and what Nuvo's trying to ensure that we stay ahead of, but we do so sensibly. We are really, really cautious of the fact that we're custodians of our clients' data, and we need to make sure that we use it properly and appropriately. So data security is hugely important to us. So with that in mind, we aren't going to leap in, and we're not going to promise our clients that we're going to leap into the first AI product that feels ready for us. And we're always going to make sure that we do our due diligence. So part of that has been working with Truly on Copilot. It's embedded into our current ecosystem anyway, and we know that we've got security with it through Microsoft Enterprise level security. So we're quite happy using that. But I think that, my view of some of the AI that's being released in the accountancy industry is that it's a bit gimmicky and it's there for the sake of it, which is what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So do you have a kind of IT department or team within your business, or are you kind of solely relying on the experts here at Truly? How does that work? So
we have our IT kind of team internally is more, it's kind of spread out across different departments. So we have IT or technology-minded people in different departments, which I've found really, really valuable and a great way for us to work, rather than trying to centralise that. A techie trying to advise an accountant on how best to do their work isn't that productive. But a tech-minded accountant saying this is how we can do it better is really, really helpful. That's a really interesting point, actually, because you do have that in some companies, don't you? And sometimes that's where there can be a bridge or a gap between the staff. I don't know, let's whether you're, journalist working in a newsroom and the tech people who are trying to support, who maybe aren't thinking like the journalists who are trying to offer that support, versus actually having a journalist who is more the, let's call them the tech hero, who is passionate about finding solutions of how to make their job better. Would you say that's kind of the ethos that you're trying to encourage there? Yeah, 100%. So from an accounting software point of view, we have digital champions across the business. And they are people who have been identified, whilst they are accountants by trade, they've been identified to be quite tech savvy, or at least really passionate about technology and looking for the best ways to do things. Do you think that encourages other employees then to think outside the box, or be creative, or try and experiment within the boundaries when it comes to technology in ways that doesn't feel like, we need to do this next course now, we need to watch this next video, and where it suddenly becomes a bit of a chore? Yeah, absolutely. So we do ask our team to indulge your kind of creative side, explore a little bit. But the beauty of the digital champion system is that they have someone in their office or at least close by, who they can then just liaise with and say, look, I've had this idea, how would this fit into what we're trying to achieve? And the digital champions then come together and they can convene on how that fits into the overall strategy of the business, which is a really, really great way for us to work. We do have some dedicated sort of internal resource around IT. So we have a data officer who's brilliant, a guy that's come into the business, no experience in the industry, but he's come in with a really, really fresh outlook, and he's focusing primarily on connectivity of systems, so ensuring that we integrate as much as possible.
That's really interesting. So when it comes to staff here at Truly then, will you have people like Tim, perhaps Amy? Are they the ones who are communicating perhaps with that central leader, that data officer, or perhaps even the digital champions, and kind of helping you with that strategy? So still almost like empowering them as opposed to just coming in as a third party and here you go.
Absolutely. So we it sounds a bit it sounds a little bit cringe, but we do try and treat,
we love lame.
we do try and treat the Truly team as kind of part of our business, really, an annexation of our business, that we regularly confer with Amy and Tim and people around what options are available to us. Is this a good idea? And as we did with our strategy session today, we've talked really openly about what we're trying to achieve, where we want to get to, and Truly are already proposing ideas around how we could do that better, how we could potentially change our plan, what we could introduce along the way. So it's been a fantastic relationship, and having that third party that you can rely on, that is knowledgeable in the industry as a whole, even if it's not specific to your sector, is so valuable. Yeah,
because it's not like you have all the time in the world to go to all these amazing events and learn what the latest Microsoft products are. You want to be able to trust and rely that another business is doing that. They're going to provide you with the creme de la creme, what the latest stuff is that's going to support my business and fit with your strategy. Because it's all very well saying, use this, use that. I mean, if you had an endless budget, you could go for any bits of software, right? But efficiency seems really the key word when it comes to your business in terms of running, obviously making sure you're profitable, but also making sure you're doing it safely, making sure you're doing it in a manner that encourages other people in your business to do their best work.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, on the relationship point of view, you're absolutely right. I mean, the way that we see Truly is the way that we want our clients to see us, that we come to Truly as the experts in the field, and we sort of trust their recommendations. Obviously, we do our own due diligence, but we trust their recommendations and their suggestions. And likewise, our clients come to us knowing that we have the expertise in accountancy or payroll or HR or the other services that we do, and that they can kind of trust our recommendations as well. So yeah, efficiency is hugely important to the business, because ultimately what we want is a team that come to work kind of excited about what they're gonna do that day. And if it's the mundane, it's not going to be that exciting. But if we can take away some of the mundane with technology, then that's a fantastic position for us to be in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you then. So, what sort of advice would you have then for perhaps other small, medium-sized businesses? I mean, say SMB, you're sort of bigger than that, really, or at least at the top of that pile. When it comes to technology, what advice would you have to perhaps another managing director who's maybe listening, watching this, thinking, are we doing the best we can when it comes to keeping up to date with the mad changes and developments that are happening in the tech world?
Yeah, definitely. I think my view of it is, don't be afraid to accept what you don't know. I think trying to do it all yourself is a trap that a lot of business owners, potential managing directors, do fall into. You don't have to be the chief technology officer and the chief operating officer and everything else across your business. You need to get the right expertise to help you with that. And that can be engaging a business like Truly, saying, look, we need help. This is what we're trying to achieve. Be really transparent about what your end goal is. How can we get there, and how can you help us get there? And I think engaging experts is something that I firmly believe in. At Nuvo, we have expertise in-house, and we're really proud of the expertise that we have in-house. We also recognise where we don't have expertise in-house just yet. We will always go to the appropriate person to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our business and for our clients.
Do you think that mantra, ethos, whatever you want to call it, has contributed to the success you've had personally then in your career? Because you do meet a lot of entrepreneurs, business leaders who, some of them are successful, they take the world on by themselves. You think, where do they have the time and energy to do that? You know, when I'm like, what are you built on? It seems to me like you're someone who, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to driving a strong team, it's around sort of perhaps delegation and trust when it comes to expertise. Is that something that's quite personal to you as a leader? Yeah,
definitely. I think knowing what you don't know, recognizing what you are good at, what you want to do, and taking on those things, but then consulting experts on the other things. And I think with the relationships you can develop, you know, just conversing with the people, you can start to get a feel for what it is that they're trying to achieve. Are they trying to get something out of you, or are they genuinely there to help your business? And you can kind of, I feel you can cut the wheat from the chaff a little bit quickly with those kind of initial calls. So we've worked with loads of partners over the past, and there's some that have been fantastic, some that we probably wouldn't work with again for that reason. But once you've developed those relationships with businesses, and Truly is such a good example for Nuvo because of the way you've grown alongside us, I think once you've got those relationships, there is going to be that level of trust where you can't take everything that is suggested to you at face value. You have to conduct your own due diligence. But we know if Tim or someone at the Truly team is passing us something, it's definitely something to read. It's definitely something for us to open our eyes to and say, right, okay, we need to consider this.
Yeah, it's knowing when you've developed a relationship with someone who's delivered the goods, and maintaining that relationship, and then maximising it, I guess.
Absolutely.
I know we're coming to near the end of the podcast, and we've talked about so many different things. It's been really interesting. I just wanted to kind of wrap around and perhaps wrap up and talk a little bit more about, I don't know, just from your perspective, some of the skills, some of the lessons you've learned in your career that perhaps, particularly for younger people maybe watching this, you could advise. What would you say let's go for the top three skills you think are most important when it comes to being a business leader, and perhaps then we'll counter that after with what were the 3 challenges you've had to overcome personally. Let's go with challenges first, and then we can finish on the
top 3 challenges that I've faced. I think for me, potentially a little bit earlier on in my career, was that I had too much indecision, and I was too fearful of ever committing to something and then realising I'd done the wrong thing. The first thing that I always try and ensure that I do when I make a bigger decision is have I got a parachute? Can I pull out of this if I need to? And if the answer is yes, then I'm far less fearful of ever jumping into that. And so I think that I hate the phrase like, don't be afraid to make a mistake, because it feels really generic. I don't think that the truth is don't be afraid to make a mistake. You should be afraid to make a mistake. But the best way to plan for that is always just to say, look, how can I get out of this? So just have a plan B before you go into a big decision. Just say, look, if we do this, that can be as simple as checking, have I got an exit clause on this contract? It can be as simple as that. But just make sure you've got a plan B. If you try something and it doesn't work, that's okay. As long as you've got a way out of that, that's fine.
I love that.
So that's probably the thing that I learned quite early on, because I was always teetering around whether to do something or not because I was too afraid to commit to it. I would say the other bit that I think we've already been through, but one of my really, really strong beliefs in management and in leadership is not to have a rigid style of management and leadership, not to be fiercely stubborn about the way that you manage different people. I think you need to add a human touch to every single thing that you do in every interaction in business. One of my least favourite phrases that I hear is, it's not personal, it's business. Well, it is personal because you're dealing with a human being, so it is personal. Yeah. So the way that I conduct business is exactly the same as I live. I live my life. I try and be honest. I try and be forthright. As well, right? I try and be authentic. Yeah. I don't like the idea of being a different person when I walk into an office at all. I will always, when you meet me, this is me. Whether you meet me for a beer, I might swear a bit more if you meet me for a beer, granted. Yeah. But when you meet me, you meet me. And so I think remember that you're always dealing with human beings. Yeah. And generally, we're all just trying to do our best, aren't we? So yeah. So I think always lead with empathy, an understanding of the human being behind everything that you're doing. So I've switched there, haven't I, from challenges to lessons, which I do apologise.
That's a classic, classic interview style skill there. I can see you've done well in your job interviews over the years.
I suppose the thing is that the tips that I have are all from the challenges that I've faced.
Yeah, of course. But that's how we learn, develop. But let's wrap it then with saying, perhaps for a young person watching this who has been inspired about the success you've had at your age, what advice would you give to them, whether it's going into accountancy, going into tech? What sort of suggestions would you have for them to better their career chances?
Explore your passions, I think. So I started off as an accountant because I was kind of passionate about business and numbers, and I did it, and I really enjoyed it. But the door opened for me to explore a new passion of mine, which is more sort of organisational leadership. And so I went for it, and I've absolutely loved it. And as a leader now, one of my main passions on the side is more around the technology piece, which is why I'm probably one of the tech leaders at Nuvo as well, as being the managing director. I think I kind of instill that ethos in the business because it's one of my passions. We have a fantastic head of digital transformation who's come into the business and been wonderful as well. And having that person in the business that I can kind of bounce ideas off has been amazing. So I think just explore your passions. If you're in a business and you can't see a way that you can achieve what you want to achieve, then do look elsewhere. But equally, I don't think you need to follow this mantra of you have to move job all the time in order to get ahead. I think if you're in the right business with the people above you that you trust and you know that are going to do right by you, then you can absolutely just have conversations with them and just be open and honest and say, this is what I want to get out of my career and my life. How could you potentially help me do that?
Yeah, and I suppose part of it is when you do try something new, knowing when it's not for you, putting your hand up, like you and that vet surgery.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, have your plan B, know that you've got a way out, and just consider what that's going to be before you jump into something.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important.
To be honest, that eyeball story has put me off ever.
Tell me about it.
Vet surgery any time in the future. Listen, Ben Knapp, a really, really enjoyable conversation. Thank you so much for coming in today. And yes, if you've enjoyed the podcast, feel free to give us a like, give us a share on social media, and stay tuned because we will have another episode of Truly Unplugged coming out very soon. Thank you.